Okay. You have a chumash?
We
don't need. I'll tell you about
it.
It's two psukim. What? I left my chumash here. Two psukim. You don't need to look at it. I'll tell you the psukim. Vayatzmach Hashem Elokim. Hashem created caused to sprout, to grow a gan. Right? He made a gan. Gan Eden Mekedem. Gan Eden to the east, and he caused to grow. Vayatzmach Hashem Elokim kol eitz toiv lemachol v'nechmod lemara. All the delicious, beautiful trees. The eitz hachayim b'soich hagan, the eitz hadas toivara. A tree of life in the middle of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. I want to analyze two psukim. Okay, one's a diak, small little subtle diak, and one's a bomb kasha. We'll see it against both of them. Okay, the diak. What's the diak? What's the small subtle question? Hashem created a garden. He caused all the trees to grow that are delicious and beautiful. The eitz hachayim b'soich hagan, and a tree of life in the middle of the garden. The eitz hadas toivara, and a tree of knowledge of good and evil. That's part number one. Any ha'ara?
Where was it?
Right. What's the ha'ara?
First create the trees, then the garden. It's not a garden when there's nothing in it.
Okay, that's nice. That's deep already. I'm looking for a simple diak.
It doesn't say where it is.
Where was it?
So it tells you like this. It gives you a lot of extras. It says there's a lot of trees, creates all the trees. And then it gives you two trees by name. Two trees, like a play, a movie. A lot of extras and two speaking parts. Two, like in the credits, there are two trees that have their names spelled out. The Eitz HaChayim, all the trees that are beautiful and delicious, and the tree of life in the middle of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So it identifies two trees. One of them, it says the name and address, and one just the name. So that's the ha'ara. The ha'ara is how come the Eitz Hadas only has a name and no address, and the Eitz HaChayim. So you have three levels. You have trees with no name or address, generic trees. Tree of life in the middle of the garden, name and address, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil, name, no address. That's the ha'ara. Okay? What's the address of the Eitz Hadas? The second, then Hashem says what? He says you can eat from all the trees, but the tree, the Eitz Hadas, Toivara, you can't eat from. Right? Where's that tree?
We don't know.
We don't know. Then the Nachash comes to Chava, and the Nachash says, is it true that the Rabbeinu Shalom said you can't eat from all the trees? And what does Chava answer? Afki Omar Lekim Loisoichel Mikol Yitzagan. Did Hashem even say you can't eat from all the trees? Vatoimer her Isha El Nachash. She responds from Nachash. Mi pri Eitzagan Noichel. No, from the trees of the garden we could eat. Mi pri ha Eitz Asher B'Soichagan. But from the fruits of the tree in the middle of the garden, Omar Lekim Loisoichel Mimenu. That tree Hashem said we can't eat from. Loisigumon, don't touch it. Pentimusar. Everyone's okay with that?
It must have been the same tree.
Oh, don't jump so fast. Everyone's
Everyone says
The
mistake.
Seicha gun was.
No, I never heard this.
What?
I never heard this.
It's a Vam Kasha. What's the Vam Kasha?
Everyone says mistake.
So Chava tells the Nachash what? What she really say? What you saying to Nachash? Translate
Can't
it.
eat from the Eitz HaChayim.
Hashem said we could eat from just the Eitz HaChayim we can't eat from. Which means what? If you play out the whole story, then she goes and she eats from the tree. Which tree did she eat from? No, but she ate from it's a chayim. That's the one she thought Hashem said don't eat from, right? So she never did anything wrong. It's such a often a pasuk. No, nobody said like what's yeah. It's a bomb kasha. She tells the Nachash the wrong tree. Everybody's here getting blank looks.
What is the pasuk?
What?
I missed the pasuk.
The Nachash Chava says no. Mi pri eitzagan noichel. We could eat from all the trees. We pre eitz asher b'soichagan. Just the fruits of the tree in the middle of the garden. Omar Elokim lo'isaychel imenu. Hashem said we can't eat from it. Which trees in the middle of the garden? Right. Where's Eitz Hadas?
Doesn't say.
What?
That's it.
We don't know. So it means that Chava is telling the Nachash which tree can we eat from. It's the wrong tree. That's the one they could eat from. Right? That's a bomb kasha. So what's the teretz?
B'seich just means in the garden.
The problem with that, so you want to say they're both in the middle of the garden. That's what you want. That's your
Who
answer.
said b'seich is the middle?
Okay, amongst.
But one time it says B'seich.
The other ones aren't b'seich. The other ones aren't
Whatever
b'seich. So
b'seich
if the
is,
whole
one
garden
is
is b'seich, then.
Can't specify b'seich.
But it's even more than that. I'll show you even more than that. Right? So some chazals say that it was two trees, vines wrapped around each other. Right? They're all they're running this kasha. Right? All the chazal. That's an important thing. When you learn psukim for real, then you have to go learn the medrash. Because all the midrashim now make sense. The midrashim are all learning of a pasuk like a mensch. They're not. When you learn the pasuk for real, then you stop what all the midrashim are talking about. When the midrashim are trying to explain, they're on top of each other, they're wrapped around each other. Why are they saying this? Because it's how's the but lamaisa? I'll tell you, they can't both be in the middle. You know why? First of all, why didn't it say it? That doesn't solve the problem. Why didn't it say it? But they can't both in the middle because what did she say? Tell me why from the pasuk. Umipri ha'etz asher b'soich hagan omar elikim le'seich le'menu.
There's only one in the middle.
Ha'etz. Ha'etz means what?
One.
The tree. So you can't tell me they're both in the middle. Klar. Maskim? So anyone who wants to answer they're both in the middle and for some reason didn't say it, it's not even possible to say that. So I don't know how Chazal are going to answer that, the ones who say it was wrapped around each other. I don't know. What's the rational teretz that solves all the problems? Anyone have a rational teretz to all their problems?
Like you said, same
Like
tree.
you said. Who told you there's two trees? Everyone told us. But I'm saying, where'd they get it from? You learned it's one tree.
But originally when
What?
it says it has to say
Puzzle
originally.
refers to it as two trees, though.
No, so you want to know why does a tree have there's new kashas. That's why I know it is. You want to know why it has two names.
The puzzle refers
It's
to
mashma
this
two
tree and
different
that tree.
things.
It says the Eitz
Hagan,
maybe it means the Eitz HaChaim Zusay Chagan,
Yeah.
and that's the Eitz Hadas Tevera.
The Eitz Adas Tevera, just
Yeah, and this tree is the Eitz Hadas Tevera.
Schizophrenic.
It's
What?
Schizophrenic tree.
Well,
That's
right,
the
I'm not
process.
saying it's
Right.
we don't have new things to explain, but saying it's one tree will solve the
Would
two
solve
questions we ask.
Psychedelic tree.
Creates much bigger problems. How could you eat from the tree and not eat from the same tree? And when they eat from the tree, Hashem says, "Oh, Chashrom, they're going to go eat from the Eitz HaChaim. I better guard the Eitz HaChaim so they don't go to the Eitz HaChaim." If it's the same tree, they already ate from the Eitz HaChaim. There's a million new kashas, but the two kashas we asked so far that we saw in the Psukim, if you say it's one tree, it's answered. Okay.
It's just worse than the question.
What? We'll see that everything's perfect. This is the most beautiful Torah in the world. Okay? It's life-changing. And it's so amazing. Okay, so now we're going to go through, we'll see how much time I have today, but there's 5 or 6 days in Chazal what this tree is. Right? What are basically everything except an apple tree. What are the different days?
Wheat.
Wheat,
Grapes.
grapes, what? Esrig.
Weed.
Wheat.
Did you say 5 different days?
5 different opinions of what the tree is. How many different opinions are in the Gemara, in the Chazal? Wheat,
Olive?
what?
I'm just guessing.
No,
Olive?
Barley.
fig, te'ina,
apple.
Pomegranate?
and pomegranate. Okay, these are the Chazals. Maybe it says pishtan somewhere. I don't see it anywhere. But
Wheat's not really a tree, I'm saying. It's a
Where'd
leaf.
we get the
a
apple from?
geffen's not a tree. Well, we don't know. Well, obviously, 8 doesn't mean what you
Closer.
think it is. What? Okay, but Torah is calling it 8, and Chazal say it's.
Also,
I'm
nobody
going to go. Let's go through it quick. But so far, you have the story right now. Hashem, we don't know anything. All we know is Hashem created a garden. He caused a lot of trees to grow. In the middle of the garden is a tree. It's called the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And first opinion, it's a geffen. Chazal say it's a geffen. So let's do geffen. You ever read a wine label? I'm going to make up a wine label now. Okay. Hints of vanilla and blackberry. Slight tones of cinnamon and mango. Grown in the hills of southern France. Perfect for fish and dessert. Ingredients 100% grape. Imported by the Kedem Wine Company. Okay, that's what it says. So let's try to understand it. So the ingredients is 100% grape. So where does the mango and the chocolate and the cinnamon and the vanilla come from? So what we know is somehow grapes absorb every nuance in the soil that affects the grape. And that's why different places in the world produce different quality grapes, because the soil is imbued with certain things, minerals that cause these flavors. But it's not only the minerals in the soil that affect the grape. What else affects the grape? You can plant the same grapes every year in the exact same soil, and it tastes, and it's different because the climate it rained more, the winter came earlier, or whatever it is. Now you can take the same grapes in the same soil and the same year, so it's the same climate, and it tastes different depending on what barrel you put it in. And the same grapes in the same soil, the same year, the same barrel tastes different, and you drink it 3 years later. Because what else affects the grape? Time, age. And then you can take the same grapes in the same barrel, the same soil, the same year, the same vintage, the same everything, and the altitude you drink it at, the temperature it's at, how much it breathed, what cup you drank it from. Basically, what affects a grape? What's the answer?
Everything.
Everything.
Environment.
In Torah, the grape in Yiddishkeit is a mushal for what we call, well, the modern world calls mindfulness. It's a new word. Chazal had this musig for years. We call it in Torah, we call it ba b'yamav. Somebody is ba b'yamav means he comes with all of his days. Nothing in its life was lost on it. Imagine what it would look like for a human being that was like a grape. That's what it calls being, like you said, with the brain, we use 1% of our brain. What's the best marshal for the thing that fully nutzes ice all of its kaichas? The thing that's fully modern Lashon actualized, fully present and mindful, and you understand what we're saying? What the greatest marshal for that in the world is wine. Wine, grapes. Grapes are the thing in the world that is most babiyamav. It is the most alive, vibrant, alert, present. It's never spaced out. Nothing went over its head, right? You ask him that's what a grape. That's in Torah. That's what grape represents. The most alert. And if that's our purpose of life, and Hashem is existence, and He gave me the chance to exist, so my job is to maximize my existence, right? I'll just give you a good way to picture it. It's a little, whatever. Imagine that Hashem is this huge chessboard. Okay, that's everything, a chessboard. So you have a grid. So every one of us, in the Bria, Hashem divides everything, so every guy's a square in the chessboard. All the squares together is the symphony of the whole Elikas. But then each square in the chessboard, when you zoom in with a magnifying glass, you discover it's made out of also millions of little squares. Your life you're one square in the big chessboard, but your life is a chessboard made out of 12 squares for each, 120 squares for each year of your life. And each year is divided into 12 months, 12 little squares, and the 12 ones are broken down into 24 hours and minutes. Your life is made out of a great amount of moments. And the way for you your job is, the whole world wants to experience God. Everyone, you're not all of God, you're one piece of God. But your job is to fill your piece. And His job is to fill His piece. And together we're supposed to make the symphony, and that's the Libnas HaSafir, all the bricks together, and that's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the mashal for tzidkis and holiness in such a world is a grapevine. The thing that filled all of its boxes. You got that? So if I was writing a poem about mindfulness or presence or being, there'd be no better vehicle in the poem than to use a grapevine. Grapes, growing, feeling, the rain. What's crazy is, though, let's say I wanted to write the opposite poem also. I'd like to have two opposite poems. I don't want to come across too mushy, so I want to write a poem about checking out, feeling nothing, running away, being numb, totally the opposite of presence, totally checked out. You know what the greatest mashal in the world, the vehicle that history has always used to portray running away, feeling nothing, becoming numb?
Drunk.
Grapes, wine. Wine is the vehicle for checking out, feeling nothing, become totally detached, drowning out all hergish, becoming totally non-present. which is the most mind-blowing thing in the entire world. That there's one Bria that is the greatest vehicle for being and not being. The exact same thing. Literally the two extremes of existence, the same item is both extremes. A Geffen. I made up a statistic. Which demographic in the world has the least amount of alcoholics? What? Jews. Oh, racist. I have a demographic. Kind of her. We have plenty of alcoholics. I have a demographic where the number is 0. Can you come up with any set of people in the world where there are 0 alcoholics?
Muslims.
Who?
Muslims.
Come on.
What are you talking about? Everybody drinks.
Chinese drinks.
Everybody drinks. So you say babies. Okay, that's a good answer.
Eskimos.
But you have babies who are already born with drug dependencies from their mothers. The only group that doesn't have any
Animals?
wine connoisseurs.
Eskimos.
Winemakers.
Wine connoisseurs.
Because the second you become drunk, you're not a connoisseur.
No, it's 2 different people. How does a connoisseur drink? What's a connoisseur's
Spit
called?
it out.
What?
Spit it out.
They want to go slow and wash out their mouth first. They want to experience every nuance, every subtlety, the bouquet, the flavor. What does the alcoholic want? To feel nothing as quickly as possible. It's two opposite people. You can't be both. If you have a guy who's both, though he's an alcoholic faking he's a connoisseur, so he has access. A connoisseur is going slow and masking. So here's this. Let's look at the story of Gan Eden now. It's a crazy story. Kodesh Baruch Hu creates Adam and Chava. Hashem is Havaya. He is existence. He creates Adam and Chava. He puts them into a gan, and in the middle of the gan, he puts a tree. It's a geffen. It has 2 names. It's the tree of life. You can use this geffen to be. The wine could be mamish vibrancy. Your life could be shalim. Or it could be mamish, a trip out, you could use it to hide. This is the story. And this is the story of life. And the whole thing's really just a mushal. It's a mushal, the grapevine. It's a lesson. What does it mean, the middle of the garden? If the universe is the garden, what's the middle of a universe? What's the middle? So when you're playing a video game, you learn this, right? So you might be walking or running or flying, but what happens? The screen scrolls, and you're always in the middle. The scenery is moving, right? But your spaceship is always in the middle. The middle of the gan means the thing that's right in front of you. We're Adam and Chava, and the middle of the gan is a tree with 2 names. The thing that you're facing at any moment can be something that you can embrace and live, or you can check out. Here's 2 guys. One guy wakes up in the morning, he can't wait to go to shul because he wants to talk to the Rebbeinu Shalom. He has a lot of things to ask her. It's a big business deal coming up, and he has a shidduch or whatever. His kids, who knows what. Another guy gets up in the morning, runs to shul because he doesn't want to get his kids ready for school, put the boots over their shoes, it's so hard, and the gloves on the fingers, and snacks and mitzvah notes. Kid checks out. He runs to shul. Take care, honey, I'll see you later. Okay? Now they both in shul. So the guy who's talking to Hashem, he's so close. The other guy can't face Hashem. He's ashamed. He only went to shul to escape his wife and his kids. So one guy, as soon as davening's over, he runs his chavrusa. The first guy can't wait to learn. We left off yesterday. It was a shver thing. There's a Reb Chaim. We're going to learn this and whatever. And he was thinking about it all night. He wants to tell his chavrusa, his ha'ara. Can't wait. The other guy, he's not running to his chavrusa. He's running out of shul. Because he only went to shul to run from his wife. Now, how do you face the Rebbeinu Shalom now? When you know you're only there, you can't face God. So before Ashrei, he's already taking off his tefillin, and he runs his chavrusa. He's not going to chavrusa. He's running away from shul. Then an hour later, the first guy runs to the office. He's on a high. He learned. He davened. He learned. He can't wait to take care of his clients. There's a deal. He's waiting to hear back from the appraiser, and there's a few new deals coming up. He has to do the research on. The other guy, he's not going to the office. He's running away from his chavrusa because he couldn't learn a word because he couldn't daven. He didn't daven a word, and now he just sits there talking politics, drinking too much coffee. You got to get out of here. He feels like everyone else is learning. He has a cult terror. He's no part of it. He runs to the office. At 5 o'clock, the first guy can't wait to get home because he wants to see his kids before they go to sleep. One kid had a test. The other kid was in the school play, and the other kid, there was a masquerade, and he wants to hear how everything went. And the other guy is getting home because he has to get out of the office. He runs home, he's running away from the office. Because he's not making the real phone calls, he's not knocking as loud as he should, he's doing the easy things, and maybe he's clicking on things he shouldn't click on, who knows what. The other guy tucks his kids into bed, he says Shema with them, he tells them a story, and he can't wait to finish. He can go talk to his wife, catch up on her day. And the other guy, he's home with his kids because he can't talk to the kids, tell them a story, because he just ran away from God, he ran away from Chavrus, he ran away from Shul, and now he's home. Bottom line is, both of these guys lived the exact same Seder Hayom. One guy lived 24 hours of being. The entire day, he was at every single moment in time, he was there. The other guy had the same Seder Hayom, he has zero experience. One guy put 24 hours of day in his bank. The other guy, zero. Everything was just a hiding place. Shul was hiding from home. Chavrusa was hiding from shul, the office was hiding Chavrusa, going home was hiding from the office. He didn't experience everything. One guy lived the Eitz HaChaim and one guy lived the Eitz HaDas. It's literally two opposite lives. One guy was totally present. It's the same tree. It's both a Geffen. The Geffen is to be. This is the story of Eitz HaDas, is to be or not to be.
What about the Teva Ra and not the
Oh,
Chaim?
okay. So then it should have been called the Eitz HaChaim, the Eitz HaMavis, Eitz HaNomnus, Eitz HaRunning Away. Why? What's Eitz HaDas Teva Ra? Okay, 1 second. Masking. Okay, that's the next step. But first, this is the theory. Okay, you hear the Torah? Eitz HaDas Teva Ra, Eitz HaChaim. So now we understand first. Now, based on this, you already understand what Kiddush is. When do we make Kiddush? Every single big event in life, there's two types of events. There are life cycle events, Bris Milah, Sheva Brachas, Chasna, and then there are calendarical events, Shabbos, Pesach, Sukkot. By every event, it begins being Mekadosh the Yom. What are you doing now? Now we understand. You're holding a cup of wine in your hand, and you're saying, we're about to go in the Sukkah. Don't lose this moment. Be there. It's a mindfulness exercise. It's an exercise to be present so that you feel the whole thing. And now you might think, okay, so if I didn't know this Torah, so every Kiddush we make, you have to know the whole symbolism. Yeah, making Kiddush because I'm holding the wine, this wine is being, and I have to be like the wine. And if you didn't do that, no, it's not the symbolism. This is the Havana of it. But wine, Lamaisa, does that. Wine makes you sensitive. It's machshir you for an experience. It makes you think, it gets rid of your walls. It allows you to be in the matzav. So it's good that we understand how it works now, why it works. But the avodah of Kiddush is to be machshir you, to be a bal hergish, to feel the maimed, to feel the experience. Now, really, you should drink a cup of wine by every single moment in life. The problem is then you'll stop feeling. So we make brachas. Bracha is a miniature Kiddush, a semi of event. But the big events, you pull out the wine and you make Kiddush. And this is why also when a Yid drinks wine, what do we say? Why do we say l'chaim? Should be Eitz HaChaim wine. We're not drinking Eitz HaDas wine. It's not checking out wine, it's checking in wine. That's what l'chaim means. Right? It's the same tree, it's the same geffen, to be or not to be. So we say l'chaim, this is the Eitz HaChaim wine. That's what we're saying. Okay. So I have to answer that. Okay, so let me just show you like a cool way I do this with like students or whatever, Friar people. I do everybody. It's just I'm not saying deep thing. I'm going to use words that sound dumb. I mean it, mamish, in the most poshut, simple way possible. Don't read into it. It'll take 1 minute to do it if we don't get carried away. I'm just going to say Hashem is everything. Hashem is everything. So if Hashem is everything, what am I? Am I everything? Not everything. Hashem is everything. I'm not everything. Am I nothing?
No.
How do you know I'm not nothing?
Chilek from Hashem.
First, my seat's taken. I'm here, right? I'm not everything because you're here, right? So we can prove not everything because everybody else is in the room. I can prove not nothing because I'm here. So if I'm not everything and I'm not nothing, what does that make me?
Something.
Something. Beautiful. So Hashem is everything and I'm something. Fine? What is the relationship of something to everything? Something is part of everything. Fair? Now the last step is the important step. So Hashem is everything. I'm something. Something is part of everything. So now when I say all these spiritual things, these lines, I want to know God, I want to experience God, I want a relationship with God, I want to have a kesher to God, I want all those fancy lines. Let's translate to our new language. Something wants to experience to everything. I want a connection to everything. I'm a something. I want to know everything. I want to be with everything. I want to connect to everything. So let's analyze what that means. What is the experience of everything that something can have? When I say I want to experience God, when we replace the word God with everything and me with something, so saying that something wants to experience everything, what is that? What is the experience of everything? Can something experience everything? Nothing. No, you can't. But what is the experience of everything that's available to something? Can something experience only nothing? No. Something can experience more than nothing. Right? But something can't experience to everything. So what is the experience of everything available to the something?
What's in front of him?
Okay, I wanted you to say it in the simplest way. I want everybody to get it. What is the experience of the everything? You need a mushal, picture a mushal. Picture Hashem is a pizza pie. That's everything. Every one of us is a slice. Okay? So the slice is the something and the pie is the everything. What is the experience of the pie that's available to the slice?
Other some things?
No, just the slice.
What?
Your own slice.
Your own slice. That's the part of everything that you have. So when I say I want to experience everything, what is the everything available to me?
My entire slice.
Me. So when I say I want to experience God, what do I really mean?
Everything.
You're part of
Myself.
I want to experience me. You are the experience of God that's available to you. Hashem is everything. You're not everything. What are you? You're just you. But you're a chilik elikah. So when you say you want to experience elikos, you know what that is? That's me. So your job in life is to experience the entire you. Every part of you that you leave on the table is a chilik elikah that was available to you that you wasted. It's like you want to say in mystical things, it's like a mechikas Hashem. When you're not present, when you're not in the zone, when you run away. So the job of life is to be me, but that really means the experience of God. You are the chelik of God that's available to you. You're not the whole God, but you're also not nothing. You have a chelik elikah, but you don't automatically have it. It's doled out to you every day in little bits, and every day you have to grab it, and every moment you have to grab it. And that's why the Eitz HaChaim is a geffen. A geffen is the thing that always grabs it. So that's our avodah. The story of Adam and Chava in Gan Eden, that's where we start. Once we explain that Hashem is everything, it's echad, and He's harmony, and it's all the pieces. So now you have to understand, this is what the Torah tells the story. We are Adam and Chava, we're put into a universe which is the whole hisgalus of everything. And it's my job to every moment in life, I'm given a geffen. And the geffen, I can embrace it or I can run away with it. I can become an alcoholic or a connoisseur. The purpose of life is to become a connoisseur, not an alcoholic. And this is also, once you understand this, and you have a very good test, every college kid I ever gave a share to asks, like, what's wrong with pot? You know? Torah allows people to drink alcohol. Same high. Little different high, but why is alcohol permitted and not pot? What's the answer now? Based on this, what?
If you don't use it to escape, then it's permitted.
That wine, the only reason why wine is permitted is Eitz HaChaim wine. The Eitz HaDas is usher. Shem didn't say you can get drunk. He says become a connoisseur, get tingly and experience my world.
Does a little bit of alcohol make you more present?
Yeah,
That's your point.
that's my point.
Without getting trapped, like how much?
A little bit.
That's the Eitz HaChaim. That's called the Eitz HaChaim. But the Eitz HaDat, but pot doesn't have that. Pot is only an escape.
There's no small dose that you're.
Pot is just Eitz Hadas. Yayin is Eitz Hadas Neisachayim. Pot is a shortcut, a trip, an escape, a cheap, a high without effort. Wine is just prepares you to be, gets you in the zone to. That's the answer. That's what's wrong. It's not. Torah is not allowing you to get drunk. Torah wine. The real purpose of wine is not drunk. It's more alive. It's more present. It's more sensitive, more tingly, more dakistic, more refined. Okay, so this is the story of the eight. Let me just do quick the other 4 opinions. 5 opinions take 2 minutes to do the whole thing. I should stop now. We'll do it next time.
No, that's not.
What?
All 5?
They're going to go very fast. You'll understand the machlokes now and all the shitas. It's mind blowing. This is maybe the most powerful piece of Torah in the whole universe. I have to answer. Next time I'll answer. That's all. Next time I'll do. Next time I'll do why it's called Eitz Hadas and not called Eitz Mavis or Eitz Numbness. That would make it perfect. So you have to analyze the Eitz Hadas to figure out why it's called. Analyze the name of the tree for homework. Eitz Hadas Tovera. Okay, but let me tell you quickly the other one. This is so cool. The next man number says it's a chita. He's saying, Rab, I got it. I hear. The purpose of life is to be present. But why do you think that fully being is about presence? That's such a modern, newfangled way to see the world, to call it a geffen. It's not good enough to be present. You take a chita and you eat it the way it is, it's hadama, and then you grind it up, and it becomes shahakal. And then you have to thresh it, and then you have to winnow it, and then you have to do sifting, and then you have to make dough flour, and then you have to add water and be lush, and then there's infinite steps. You do this, comes hamaitzi, it becomes mezainis, and comes hamaitzi. There's nothing in the world with more processes than a chita. How many malachas live from a chita? 13, 15, 17? What? Chayrish, Zoireya, Kaitzer, Ma'amer, Zoira. No, after Ma'amer. Ma'amer is, but first you plow, then you plant, then you harvest, then you make a bushel, Ma'amer. Then you do, what's it called? Where you crush it, you break off the wheat from the chaff. What? Dash. Then you dash. And then you do Zoira. Then after Zaira, no, first you have 2 more. You have Boyer, because after the Zaira, you throw up the wind that blows away the chaff and the kernels fall. Then you have to sift the kernels from the pebbles, Boyer. And then after Boyer, now you just have the kernels. Now you have to be Teichen. You grind them. And now you have powder. And then flour. And then you add the water, you're lush. And then Zaifa. It's a lot of steps. Mm-hmm. But each step refines it more and more and more. So what's the machlokes between the guy who says it's a chita and the Tana who says it's a geffen? The geffen one is saying that the way to totally be is to be totally present and have ergish. It's not good enough to be present. You have to do the hardest working guy, the guy who's putting in the all the steps. It's lamaisa. Being is a lamaisa dikasugya of doing the kaiches, not just sitting in being a teeth guy in the dorm. That doesn't make you real. You have to be the guy who actually goes and does the avoida after the teeth guy. After a geffen, you have to chavetz a chita. The next mandavar says very nice. Okay, so you have to be present and you have to do the work. But he says, you know what it means to totally be? So I made an equation for what does it mean to be. How do you know to totally be? What's the equation? Can you make like an equation of being? Maximizing all my kaiches? So it means to use your guf, totally, plus your moyach, plus your lave, plus your gelt. These are all tools you have to be. Plus your friends, plus you have to leverage every single asset you have to totally be. You have to inspire people. That's to inspire. So that was what you could accomplish also. You have to use your money to invest, to everything. All of those things, it's plus, 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 plus. What's your most valuable asset? time. My equation is, because what time allows, what does time allow? Time allows you to use all those other things again and again and again. Keep my brain 10 times if you give me more time. So the equation, you want to know what the equation of self is? Brain plus body plus heart plus money plus people shaykh to you plus everything multiplied by zman equals you. And that's the maximum that you create. Make sense? So the next mandamar comes, says, no, there's one more thing. Not only do you have to include, to be fully be you, it's an esrog. An esrog is pre-Yitzchak, what defines the esrog over a lemon. A lemon is the worst, most bitter thing in the world. An esrog is a symbol of hiddur. The difference between the esrog and this is the blitais. The bumps. It's a long schmooze on esrog, but the chiddush of esrog is that not only are you, your thoughts and your actions, you also have to include all your trauma. If you didn't figure out how to assimilate every single tsar and every single bump that you went through, then you wasted part of you. The goal isn't to figure out how to duck and forget and get over stuff. It's part of my life. My shleimus includes my ability to assimilate whatever that stuff did to me. If you didn't do that, then you're not fully being. So now the next mandar comes. He says, no, it's a ta'ina. It's a ta'ina. You know that what more is there now? We're saying you have to be totally present in thought. Then you have to be totally present, fully in acting. Not only that, you have to really realize that every bad thing in your life was also necessary to make you. I have a good word on that, but I don't want to waste time on it now. I'll tell it to you next time. You know that word of mine? The Chakika versus the Miksha? Luchais versus Menorah? We'll see. But you understand? We're figuring out what you is. What more is there? I'm now including my thoughts. I'm totally present. I'm totally schwitzing. I'm not lazy at all. Not only that, I'm also including every single tsar I went through. If I waste any of my tsar, then it's a terrible thing, tsar. But it does do things to you that nobody could. The guy who didn't have that tsar doesn't have. You have a viewpoint and an understanding that whoever didn't experience that could have it. I understand why people have to run away from tsar. I'm not denying that. But when you get to the level, it might take many years, but when you get to the level that you can face your tsar and realize what it did to me, and made me bigger in a certain way, that's where everything in your life was included. That's your Eitz HaChaim. You didn't run away at all. What's the next step? What's the ta'ina? Where's the ta'ina in the story? What did they do after they ate from the tree? They were ashamed, and what did they do? Vayispru alei ta'ina, they sewed together the fig leaves, vayasim chagoyres, and they made belts. So if the tree was a fig tree, so what's the lesson of making belts out of the tree they ate from? What's it telling you? Not only do you have to be present, not only do you have to be active, not only do you have to include your trauma, you know what else you need to include in your life? This is so Breslov. Even your averas are part of who you are. And you have to weave those into your life. You have to take your averas and make belts out of them, make them into your clothing. Meaning you're not you until you figure out how to include your averas too. Isn't that huge? What? It's unfortunately for us Litvaks, it's a pasuk. Okay. Okay.
The last
What?
You read that into the pasuk.
It's a famous pasuk.
the last
Vayisbru alei te'ina. Meaning the tikkun they had to go back to the tree. What?
that ties into your Elam
All the what?
Say all the chatam, all the manias, take everything.
Is there one more?
I don't know why you don't say it, but it's a clear pasuk. Okay.
That's how you teach the pasuk.
No. It's
No,
not
no,
possible.
no.
You missed this.
That's what it says.
This ties into your Elam shot because you asked. It means everyone's going to go to hell. You're not because your Averis brought you. You become mitzvahs, right? Why do we say to become mitzvahs?
Oh, that's what it means. It means somehow. I'm not saying how you do it. But I'm saying we got to fix. I didn't get into. Maybe later on we'll get there in deeper parts of the marachas. But that's much later. But for now, the Havana that What's the last opinion? What? A remind. What? So what's the remind part? The remind is you think that you're present, and then you think that you're doing, and then you think now that I included my trauma, even that's part of me, and that even my averus, I figured out what they're supposed to do to me. I included everything. But Lamaisa, it's all about the seeds. It's all about the seeds. Unless you were Myrishit to the world, and you left it over and you built something from it and you planted it and you had kids or Hamidim, or unless you were Myrishit, then it didn't exist. The full shleimus of Eitz HaChaim needs to be that you went the last step and you added it to the world. The kiyum, that you contributed you to the whole bria, you added your piece to the symphony, that needs the zriya, that needs the rimoin. It needs the seeds of your entire life. That's what the rimoin is. So this machlekes, it's the craziest machlekes in the world. It's the deepest machlekes of what it means to be. And they're all true. They're not. That's like every machlekes. Elu ve'elu. What does it mean? Elu ve'elu. It means elu ve'elu, that you need being. The Goyish world is busy with mindfulness. They're just getting started. You know? But Lamaisa, you have to take it to the next level. You have to do, you have to feel, you have to. It's amazing Torah. That was
The Yiddish
amazing.
world is also just getting into mindfulness. And
What?
I think the Yiddish world is coming only after the going. Unfortunately,
No,
even though
no,
it's
they
been
can-
said 6,000, 5,000 years ago.
Taking brachas. The first thing you learned was Ketim Avarchim when you were in
I learned
fifth
to be
grade.
mindful.
In third grade, you learned
Oh,
Ketim
so